Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. I'm Sean Wasserkrug, and I'm here to review the latest films in theaters, as well as anything else that's come out recently, and any film recommendations from you guys, that whether it be present or in the past. And today I am reviewing one of the highest reviewed or rated films of the year, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, before we get into that, don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and don't forget to leave your comments. And also don't forget to like and share, or like and subscribe to the Facebook page, which is Sean Movie Crusades on Facebook. So that way it keeps you guys up to date with all the latest videos that come out, as well as any new information about the show. Now today, we're going to review Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, yes, this is technically the third Spider-Man movie that's come out this year, if you count Avengers Infinity War and Venom. So we have been getting a lot of Spider-Man recently, and a lot of people were a little objective to this film, I guess, when they announced it, because, I mean, let's face it, in the past, I mean, this is kind of getting almost Batman levels now, where we've had the Tobey Maguire trilogy, we've had the Andrew Garfield's two films, now we have Tom Holland. And then we have Venom, which is apparently not part of the MCU, but then it might be part of the MCU. And now we have this, which is basically a different type of Spider-Man altogether. And so a lot of people are like, man, another Spider-Man? Like, we don't need more Spider-Man. But, I mean, and then there were other people who were real excited. Me, I was more or less intrigued by the movie, because, I mean, I thought it was interesting with the way how the storyline was going to go, and when the first trailer came out, I was 100% invested at that point, because of how it was shot. It looks very comic book-like it was literally being ripped out of the pages of a comic book, and I haven't really seen a style done like that on movies, and if it has, it wasn't done very well. So I was really interested in seeing how this was going to play out, because of just how it was going to be shot and where they were really going to go with this film. Because we haven't, well, yes, we have had many variations of Spider-Man over the past decade and a half. We haven't really had multiple Spider-Mans in a film before, and in this one, we're getting six different Spider-Mans in this movie. No, 6 or 7. I can't remember. But we're getting all these different variations of Spider-Man, and so how were they going to interact on the film together? Was it going to work? Was it not going to work? And then the reviews started rolling in about 2 weeks ago, and they were insanely positive, saying this is the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been made, and it's the best animated film of the year, and it's probably one of the best films of the year. And I was like, whoa, okay, I mean, to kind of quote Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained, you have me interested and you've piqued my curiosity. I know I butchered that line, so don't bash me for it. I'm sick. Leave me alone. But yeah, so I got real excited when this movie came out finally, so I could actually go see it. And to start it off, was the hype real? Is it the best Spider-Man movie of all time? Is it the best animated movie of all time? Is it one of the best movies of the year? And before I go deep into this film, I'm going to give you that answer right now. So if you're looking for that straight answer, is it yes or no? Is it those three, which is best Spider-Man movie of all time, or one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time, the best animated movie of the year, and one of the year's best films? The answer is yes. Yes. Holy crap, this movie was fantastic. I mean, just blew me away how great this movie was. It's been a few days since I've seen this, and I'm still thinking about it. That's how much I want to go see it again. I might go see it tonight. Who knows? But this movie is so freaking good. I haven't been this happy watching a movie in a few months. I mean, there's been good movies that have come out, but none recently that have made me just be really happy and excited to talk about it. and to review it. And I'm glad I'm finally have the channel open where I can actually talk about this film. And I'm going to do my best to not try and spoil it. It's going to be very, very hard because there's so much great stuff in this. But it is such a good movie. I highly, 100% recommend going and seeing this film. I mean, even if you're not a huge Spider-Man fan, it's done so incredibly well that even though it's very and the term inside baseball for Spider-Man, there's a lot of deep cuts for Spider-Man that maybe the normal person who's not a huge Spider-Man fan is not going to really understand. You're still going to enjoy the movie. So that right there should be enough for you to go see it. I mean, unless you're just not really a big cartoon person, but the cartoon or the animation in this is insane. And I will get more into that as I go. But yes, this movie is probably right there with Spider-Man 2 as the best Spider-Man movie ever made. It is definitely the best animated movie of the year. It's better than The Incredibles 2. It's better than Wreck-It Ralph 2. It's better than The Grinch, and trying to think what other big animated movies have come out this year, but it's better than all of them. And it is easily one of the best films of the year. I don't know where I have it stacked right now in my top films of the year, but it's definitely in that race. I have a lot more movies to see this year, so I don't know where it will finish, but it is definitely going to be up there on the list. That is how good this movie is. Now, let's get into the actual review, or actually dissect the film as we can. Basically, and this isn't, I know this is going to sound spoilery, but this is literally me just explaining the plot, and so that way people kind of have an understanding of what's going on in the film. So, don't bash me, this is not spoiler, this is literally just plot synopsis that's coming from literally the trailer, or you literally could probably see it online and it would explain. But basically, anyone who watches the CW shows, the DC shows like Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, there's multiverses. So there's Earth 1, 2, 3, Earth 600. There's many multiverses, and everyone's basically kind of the same or elements of the same type of thing in different worlds. So there's multiple Spider-Men, and that's where you kind of get this, and that's why it's called the Spider-Verse, is there are many different verses. And we are introduced to, I'm not gonna try to remember what Earth this is, but it's not our Earth, because our Earth is where Peter B. Parker would be, and the reason why it is because when they show him, it's Coca-Cola soda, but on this world that we're on right now, it's like Coda soda, so that's soda, so that's why I know we're not in our world or our verse. But basically, we're following the story of Miles Morales, and he's basically a African-American Latino character. His father's African-American, and his mother is Latina. And basically, he just got transferred basically to a special school, private school. He took a test, and surprise, surprise, he's actually really smart. So his family has moved him to this new school. So he's kind of having a rough time of it right now because he misses all of his friends. And you can kind of see it in the beginning of the film when he's kind of going to school. He's very popular at his old school. So many people were saying hi to him, giving him high fives, and he's speaking to them in both English and Spanish. So he's multilingual in that sense, and he's a very popular kid. He's a very cool kid. He's not Peter Parker like, where he's just like a smart little nerd kid, or teenager in that sense. But he's a real likable kid, and even before the Spider-Man stuff gets into it, you love this Miles Morales character. It's done fantastic, and he's voiced by Shamik Moore. Many people might know him from the TV show Dope. If he's doing unless they adjusted his voice, I don't think his voice is that high for a kid, because it is an adult doing the voice. But he does a great job as Miles, and he really makes you feel for the character. And just as Miles Morales as a person, not because he's a Spider-Man, but just as a person, Miles Morales is a very interesting and very fun and loving character. Like I said, his father, he's got his father who is a police officer. So you got that kind of element where his father's very stern and strict, but he's also lovable in a sense. And he's voiced by Brian Tyree Henry. Many people know him from the TV show Atlanta, and he was also previously in a movie that came out this year earlier called Widows. He does a great job giving that fatherly kind of role. But he's also got this uncle, just like Spider-Man. You gotta have an uncle. He's got this uncle. His name's Uncle Aaron, and he's voiced by Mahershala Ali, who has been exploding over the last few years as one of the best actors out there. You know, whether it be Luke Cage, whether it be Moonlight, Green Book. He's probably gonna be nominated. He might even win for that this year. He does a great job. I wish his character there was a little bit more to his character, but in the roles he's with Miles is fantastic, and he's kind of the uncle that him and his father don't get along anymore. Miles' father, because I guess maybe Uncle Aaron's does some criminal type activity, so because of Miles' dad being a cop and his uncle kind of being not not a law-abiding citizen, there's that divide. But Miles is leans on both of them. They kind of both have kind of made Miles the teenager that he has become up to this point. Miles, like I said, he's a fun kid. He likes the graffiti, but he's just trying to find his way in the world. He's trying to find his path, because he thought he knew where he was, and then he got thrown into a new school, and now he just doesn't know where he belongs. I mean, he's not really fitting in with the kids there, and he just feels kind of lost. And during one night, while he's hanging out with his Uncle Aaron, doing graffiti, he gets bit by a radioactive spider. And because of that, he now has Spider-Man abilities. And Spider-Man is in this world with Miles. So it's not like the Spider-Man never existed. So Peter Parker is in this world, and he's perfect, and I'm not going to tell you who voices Peter Parker, this version of Peter Parker, because there's multiple versions of Peter Parker. There's a lot of cameo surprise voice casts, so definitely when this movie ends, you should definitely keep an eye out for the cast voice list, because a lot of them are like, oh wow, they got that person to be in this movie. But so Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, is in this world with Miles, and so the night that Miles kind of goes out with his abilities, he runs into Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's in the middle of a huge battle with a version of Green Goblin I personally have never seen, and Kingpin, and the Prowler as well. And basically what they're doing is they have this, excuse me, they have this big collider, basically. And the underlining story going on with that is that Kingpin has lost his wife and daughter. And anyone who watches the Netflix Marvel series Daredevil knows how much Kingpin loves how Kingpin loves his wife Vanessa. And so he had lost them, and so he's trying to open the multiverses to try and get another version of Vanessa and his son through, so that way he's no longer alone, which is pretty layered heavy for a villain. But in the process of this battle, Spider-Man gets kind of thrown into the collider as it's doing its scan, and because of that, it syncs onto people with Spider-Man abilities, and that's where it then sucks in all these other Spider-Men, or Spider people to this world. And because of that, that's how all these spider people start showing up in Miles' world. In the process, something does happen to Spider-Man in this world. Not going to say what, but if you watch trailers, you pretty much might have a good understanding. Or if you saw the end of Venom, you would have a good understanding of what happens to the Peter in this world, but I'm not going to say it. But basically, we're left without a hero. And so Miles has to take it upon himself, with no training, that he has to become the new Spider-Man. And he has to stop Kingpin and all the other villains to try and save the day. But as he's about ready to do that, he runs into another Peter Parker. This one is Peter B. Parker, and this is the one that looks like it's coming from our Earth because, like I said, Coca-Cola is in his background. And this is the one that's voiced by Nick Johnson. Anyone who watches The New Girl or who saw Tag from earlier this year, hilarious guy. He's fantastic in this voice role. But he's the Peter Parker if everything went wrong. Whereas like the Peter Parker of Miles' world is perfect in every way. Peter B. Parker is basically... honestly, if there was going to be a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man continuance, I feel like this would be what the Tobey Maguire one would have been. He makes bad decisions. He eventually he marries Mary Jane, but they get divorced. He makes bad money decisions, and he's basically poor. He has hard times paying the rent. He's gained weight. He's not his self anymore. He does the job not because he loves being Spider-Man, it's because no one else can do it, and until someone can do it for him, he'll just do it because he has to. So he doesn't really love being Spider-Man anymore, but for him, it's a chore to do it and not a love for it like the Miles Morales' Peter Parker does. And so they meet, and Miles is like, well, you can train me like the other Spider-Man was going to do, and Nick Johnson's Peter Parker's like, I don't want anything to do with that, but I just want to go home, send me home, get me home, and so they start to work together that way. In the process, they start meeting all these other Spider-Men, or Spider-People. You have Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man, who is awesome. She's voiced by Hailee Steinfeld, who, once again, another phenomenal actress. She's also got Bumblebee coming out here. You might know her from Pitch Perfect, Edge of 17, which I can't say nothing but great things about her performance in that. True Grit. She's amazing in this film, in the role of Gwendolyn Stacy, or Spider-Gwen. Then you also have Spider-Man Noir, who's voiced by Nicolas Cage, which is like a 1930s Spider-Man. He's in black and white, and he talks very old school-like, and he's as Nicolas Cage as you can get with him still being Spider-Man. Then you have like anime Spider-Man, which is done by she's Penny Parker, voiced by Kimiko Glenn, and basically her. It's kind of hard to explain her character. Either her father was a spider, or her father's soul is trapped in this machine. You can kind of see this machine behind me right here. But she hops in the machine. It's kind of like a mech, and that's how she does her spider abilities. So you got that one. And then, of course, the one that many people have saw in the trailer, you have Spider-Ham, Peter Porker, who's voiced by John Mulaney. And I was like, okay, you guys have gone too far, but it works. It surprisingly works in this movie. He's not used a whole lot, but when he is used, it is great. And if I had to think of one nitpick, like I said, because I love this movie, there's not much I can really negate about it, but if I had to choose one thing, or I guess two things, is that I wish I had more of these individual spider people, or Uncle Aaron, played by Mahershala Ali. there's so much going on story wise. They need to go that Penny Parker and her mech spider robot and Spider Noir and Spider-Ham, they don't get as much story or as much screen time as Gwen Stacy Spider-Gwen and Peter B. Parker Man, and of course Miles Morales is Spider-Man. And so they don't get thrown by the wayside, but they don't get as much to do. They're great in what they do. I just wanted more. And, I mean, that's kind of a great thing about this film, is that this movie is so good, I just wanted more. It's an hour 40, I would have loved 20, 30 more minutes with more fleshed out for them. But we also know that this movie's doing so well that we're going to get spin-off films. We already know we're going to get a Spider-Gwen movie. We might get a Spider-Noir movie. We might get a Penny Parker Spider-Mech movie. Or Spider-Ham as well. So even though we didn't get enough in this film, these are just introductions to these characters that we will probably get more of down the road, because they've already announced that this is going to be a franchise. Hell yes. I'm so excited for that. I can't wait to see more of these films. and just keep bringing in more. And if this somehow meshes into the MCU, I'm all the happier for it. Or if it meshes with Venom, I'm all the happier for it. This movie's so good, I just kept wanting more of it. And on top of the amazing voice cast, also Kingpin, he's voiced by Liev Schreiber. He does great in his role. Catherine Hahn, she plays, I'm not going to say who she is in the role, but she is awesome in this movie. And Lily Tomlin plays Aunt May in Miles Morales' world, and she's great. There's everyone in this movie is fantastic voice cast. There's not a weak voice cast in them all. And like I said, it's so well done. But basically, in terms of the plot, I know I keep going all over the place, but I'm so excited about talking about this movie finally. But basically, all the Spider-Men need to get home because they can't stay in that multiverse. The multiverse, or they can't stay in Miles Morales' world. Their DNA, or they know they're not supposed to be there, so it's slowly killing them. And so they all have to work together. They all have to work together to get to that collider to send them back home. So that's basically what the whole storyline is, and then while also training Miles on how to be a Spider-Man. And then obviously stop Kingpin and all the villains in the film. So that's the main plot of the movie, is that's how they get into that world, and then that's what they have to do. Another thing, the animation. So a lot of people, this can be either a plus or minus for people. It's very unique. It's very different. It's definitely not anything you've seen before. It's very comic book-like, and what I mean by that is that, like, when they hit people, you get, like, the old school Batman where it's a, boink, or bam, or flash, or when Malik Morales is thinking of something, you're getting voice boxes popping up in his head, and he notices those voice boxes. And there's just a lot of crazy things going on all times on screen. Sometimes it kind of goes into a 3D imaging, and then sometimes it's 2D. And it's crazy, and every scene in this movie could be used as a wallpaper. Like, that's how beautiful it is. And the animation of this movie, or this world, is a character on its own. There's not a single... There's so many things in this film that, even though I watched it, I know I missed so much. And I'm going to have to go back and watch it over and over and over again. And I'm going to find something new every single time I see this film. Because that's how great this movie is. And that's how much they've added into this film. So many layers. There's so many Easter eggs. And unlike most films where Easter eggs are thrown in to the point that they stop the plot, or they stop the flow of the plot, this doesn't do that. Either you see it or you don't. And if you don't see it, it's not going to hinder the movie. If you do see it, it's kind of like, haha, that's cool, but it's not going to stop me from going through the film. The Stan Lee cameo in this movie is amazing. And what's weird is that it was filmed months before his death, but the way his scene is, it almost is like he knew he was going to pass, because it's that perfect of a cameo, and he actually has lines in the movie. It's not just like a little, like, 2-second quip like in most of the MCU. He actually has actual dialogue in the movie, and it's so perfectly well done, and it's so perfectly placed because of his death that it's almost like he knew his time was coming, and he wanted to have one lasting thing to leave fans. And it's beautiful. It might even make you teary-eyed because you know he's passed, but it is a beautiful cameo, and it's easily one of his best cameos, if not the best cameo he's ever done. But, like I said, stuff like that. There's Easter eggs to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. There's Easter eggs to the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans. There's Easter eggs to the MCU. There's Easter eggs to the comic books. There's Easter eggs to the TV shows. There's so much stuff in here, and the animation makes it flow perfectly. Now, like I said, it can be jarring, it can be choppy in a sense, but it's intended to be jarring. It's intended to be choppy. It's intended to be blurry in certain points. There's certain times where I thought, was this shot for 3D, or was this, and they forgot to take it out, or was this intended? It's intended. They know what they're doing, because it's so meticulously done, this animation, that you knew that everything that's in there is in there for a reason, and it's to keep you busy. You're never going to get bored with this film. You constantly have something to look at, you constantly have something to pay attention to, and you're going to enjoy it the entire time you're going through it. The story, I mean, not just the plot itself that I went over already, but the story is fantastic. It's not your typical Spider-Man story. I mean, it has its same beats, but it does it in different ways. It's got so much heart in this film. It's hilarious. It's got great action. The action sequences in this film are fantastic. The character building for Miles, or even Peter B. Parker, or Gwen Stacy, they're great character building. Everything about this film is fantastic, and there's nothing that I can't do but wait and be excited for what they're going to bring more. And the only thing I'm afraid of is because this movie is so different from the MCU Spider-Man and stuff like that, that a lot of people might not go see this film. And because of that, the box office won't be that high, and they'll think that this is considered a loss, and they won't make any more. And that would be a true crime in terms of film if they decide to stop making these movies. Lord and Miller, who they did the Lego movies, Lego Batman. They were going to do Solo before they got kicked off. They helped write this, and it was directed by Bob Persichetti and Peter Ramsey. But Lord and Miller, they helped write it. These guys all deserve massive congratulations for the film that they put together. And the only thing I can say, mainly for everybody here who watches this, is you need to go see this movie. Go see it multiple times. Tell your friends to go see this film. Get this film to be popular. Get this the money that it needs, so that way they know to keep making these films. Because if they keep doing this, the great thing about this is that for people who don't like the MCU, I know there are some out there. There's not a lot, but there's some out there. This is something different. And by doing this and allowing people to have the ability to branch out and do something different, we can get different things like this as well. We can get different X-Men. We can get different Iron Man, Hulk, Thor stories, where it's not connected to the MCU if we don't want it to be. The multiverse alone can separate all these things and to do very multiple different types of films and stories, and stories that wouldn't work. Like, do I think Spider-Ham would work in a live-action film? No. But it works here. If we didn't have this film, we would never have a film with Spider-Ham in it. We probably wouldn't even have Penny Parker's Spider-Mech, because they wouldn't work in a live-action. The multiverse storyline in its own probably would not work as a live-action film, but it works here. And there are tons of stories, whether it be Batman, X-Men, Superman, where they're great stories, but they probably wouldn't work live-action, and because of that, they are never going to be told. But a movie like this, if people can show out and show that this is popular and that it can make a lot of money, we might actually start getting those stories done the way they should be done, especially like this. I hope Persichetti, Ramsey, and Lord and Miller stay on this franchise. I hope that they're fully in charge. I hope these voice actors, Nick Johnson in particular, stay a part of this franchise, and that they continue on with those voices for any of the future Spider-Man franchise films. I can't think of anything better to say about this movie as to go see this and enjoy the hell out of it, because it is one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time, if not the best. I just have a really special place for Spider-Man 2, so that's the only reason why I'm having a hard time saying that it's better than that. It is definitely the best animated movie of the year. If it does not win the best Oscar for best animated film, then it is being robbed and screwed over because Pixar and Disney need to win. If it does not, it is one of the best films of the year. You will not be disappointed, and I cannot stake my claim of enough on this film about how great it is. And I wish you guys would all go out and see it and enjoy it and just have fun, because that's what you're supposed to do when you watch a movie. Just have fun, and this movie will do that. So I guess that's about it. I guess that's all I really have to say. I've said quite a bit, actually. So hopefully you guys have stayed through the whole thing, and if you have, thank you. And I appreciate it. If you guys have any comments you want to leave, go ahead and leave your comments on the video below, as well as on Sean's Movie Crusades on Facebook. And go ahead and, like I said, give that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel and to the page on Facebook, and we'll keep you up to date with all the latest videos and things happening with the channel. Like I said, more reviews coming down here in the next week and a half. We have Aquaman, we have Bumblebee, we have Mary Poppins, Welcome to Marwen, we have The Mule, just lots of films, and also films that have come out previously in the past year that I haven't got to watch yet that I got to catch up on, that I'll probably try to do reviews for. We got top 10, maybe top 15 movies of the year, top 5 disappointing movies of the year, most anticipated movies coming out for next year. We got a lot of stuff coming. Just got to get the time to do it all and try to stay not sick so I can actually, do this. I'm surprised I made it through it this long without, coughing up a lung. But thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for everyone for being a subscriber to the channel. And until I see you guys again, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.